कृष्ण भगवान की जय, गीता माता की जय। हरि ओम। We are discussing Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, the yoga of meditation, and we are seeing from all round ways how and what is called yoga and how it is to be achieved and what are the analytical state of yoga. यदा हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मसु अनुसज्जते सर्वसंकल्प संन्यासी योगारूढ़स्तदोच्यते। One who is a renunciate and who has renounced all the thoughts and who has controlled his senses, he is called a renunciate. He is a yogi and he established in yoga. Udhared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmeva hyatvano bandhu atmeva ripuratmanah. This we were discussing so elaborately in different ways, how one can uplift the self by this self. How can it is possible? If it is impure, how impurity can make the other impurity into purity? It is impossible. How do you say so? Atma itself is bondage. It is related with so many things. Comparatively, it is related with so many things. And how this Atma can uplift this own self, own Atma? It is simply, it seems to be impossible. Lord says, no, it is possible. This is what we were discussing yesterday also. We discussed a lot. One should raise oneself by one's self alone. Let not one lower oneself, for the self alone is the friend of oneself, and the self alone is the enemy of oneself. Practice yoga, discipline the senses and the mind. Elevate yourself and become a yogarudha, means a full-blown yogi established in yoga. Attend to yoga, shine gloriously as a dynamic yogi. Do not sink into the ocean of samsara, transmigration. Do not become a worldly-minded man. Do not become a slave of your lust, greed and anger. Rise above worldliness, become divine and attain Godhead. This is Gurudev's commentary. Gurudev's language is like this, always encouraging and putting some energy in you. Get up! That is how Our Vivekananda also used to say always, shout, Udhisthata prapya varana vidhata. You alone are your friend. You alone are your enemy. The so-called worldly friend is not your real friend, because he gets attached to you, wastes your time, and puts obstacles on your path of yoga. He is very selfish and keeps friendship with you only to extract something. On this, our Tulsidas ji also give the same opinion. Swararth lagi karai sava priti. Everybody is selfish, including your mother and father, and your friends and foes, everyone. Everybody is self-centered. For the sake of self, one loves others. Atmanastu kamaya sarve priyam bhavanti. कौन बृहदारण्य के उपनिषद में कहा याज्ञवल्क्य गार्गी मैत्रेय को समझाते हैं. He explained to his two wives who were very great yoginis. For the sake of self, one is loving others. For the sake of self only, one does everything and one relates himself with others. All the relationships are based on self. It is self-centered selfishness. It is
self-love.
Self-love. And if you can love yourself in true sense, be selfish rather than become selfless. Think of the self. That is true selfishness, and that will lead you to self. All the great sense of are all of one opinion. And the Upanishad, everybody says the same thing. राम ही केवल प्रेम प्यारा जान लेहु जो जान निहारा. The Ram, the absolute indweller of everyone, he only loves you for love's sake, for no other selfish purpose. He is real selfless, and that's how he is the all pervading and indweller of all beings. Then only he can love everyone. One whose love is self-centered, because his relations are limited within a particular periphery. So his attitude always will be within that boundary. It is not boundaryless. So what he means to say, all these so-called friends, our relations, as far as we have made it or it is forced on us, they are only for self's sake. They are self-achievement. Whatever they like, they will impose their ideas on you. If he is not able to get from you the object of his selfish interest, he forsakes you. Therefore, he is your enemy in reality. Where there is close friendship, there appears the dreadful enmity. Two brothers, whole life they will live together. One simple little object where they are not one, they will be inimical to each other for whole life. This is called selfishness. This is called ego-centered selfishness. It is not real selfishness. Real selfishness means no question of love within boundary. It will be love without limit. This is how one who becomes a friend to you becomes enemy by your relationships or your transactions. That's how we discussed yesterday how this your behavior makes the friend and makes an enemy also. Vyavaharena jayate satravaha mitravasthatha. If you are attached to your friend on account of delusion of affection, this will become a cause of your bondage to samsara, because affection means samsara. Some motive is behind it. And in the end, Jadabharat gave a message to all the mumukshus. You should not have an attachment even to your dearest friend. No daya, no kindness is allowed in this non-attachment practice. No kindness, nothing. You have to close your eyes for all these rules and regulations. No kindness. Because of that mercy, he had to suffer for 3 lives. Because he had mercy on that small deer. So he gives the message, no question, complete detachment. Even somebody is dying, you need not look at him. Is it? Then where is our code of conduct and where is our divine qualities, satya, ahimsa, daya, kshama? Where are these? Do these scriptures trap us by saying so? No, never, never. You have to practice all these till you give up all these.
स्वामी जी आते थे जो इधर वाले यूपी वाले, वो बोलते थे, a friend in need is a nuisance indeed.
Very good. They help you, but they trap you. Really, really. He had no mercy to anyone. Unattached, just like Padma Patram Ivambhasa.
Nisargadatta Maharaj bolte, if you really want to help someone, leave him alone.
Yes, keep quiet. Keep quiet. And on the other hand, if you have got real soft heart towards him, the best way is not helping body-wise, physically, but you can help him in the highest realm. Pray God and remember God for His sake. That was our Gurudev's method. Prayer means, "Oh Lord, please cure his disease." This will not be the prayer. Gurudev used to pray for anybody and everybody. He used to start chanting mantras. In the beginning, he will have sankalp, prayer for, and whole world at large. He adds this sentence in the end of the sankalp, for the whole world at large. Prayer for such and such person, and whoever is in need of my prayer, and whoever is suffering, for whole world at large in the end. Prayer for. And then he starts Ram, 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 Ram. Remembrance of God or meditating on God is the highest prayer. He knows what to do, when to do, for whom to do. God is not a fool. He is not our record keeper. He is not our supplier. He is not our slave to obey our orders. Whether you are praying or you are ordering Him, "Oh Lord, please do like this, do like that." Are you not able to see my difficulties, "Oh Lord"? So are you praying Him, glorifying Him, or disgracing Him? "Oh Lord, you are my father and mother, everything." As if he doesn't know. If a child says, "Mother, oh mother, you have given birth to me, you are called my mother, and you have brought me so far, and further also you are my everything." What does mother think? Child, he doesn't know how to speak. Never mind. He is an ignorant child. She doesn't care for her language, but her inner feeling. That's why God comes to the risk. Or else we disgrace God by praying Him. No words can reach God, and we limit Him with our prayers. "Oh Lord, you are the Lord of universal, uncountable worlds. Ananta Koti Brahmand Nayak." Oh, and such a person doesn't know what is he. And you remind him. What a foolishness. Huh? Is it magnifying God or disgracing God?
Wake up in God.
Huh?
Waking up the God. Because आप ही बताते वो सो गया ना.
No, some sensitive, great devotees, one who knows the meaning of the prayer, they say, "Lord, I am praying you to only purify my words, my speech, not to glorify you." Who can glorify you? Please excuse me for my क्या कहते हैं जो ignorant, no, we do something knowingly, some mistake we do. For that I beg pardon. But there is no other go than this, my Lord. So I am doing this to only purify myself, not to glorify you. And Gurudev used to pray in this way, some mantras, Trambak of course, and some prayer to some hymns for Mother Maya, Supreme Power, and something for Rama, Krishna, everybody, whosoever comes by the way in the form of Absolute. And then Om Purnamada. And that works wonder, because he is connected with everyone. When he is aware, then everybody is aware of it. That is the way of prayer. So anyhow, others, they show their kindness wherein they are entrapped. That kindness should not be limited. If it is unlimited, that is allowed. And personal kindness is bondage as a person. Simple analysis. If you are kind to one person, then you are limited with one person. No doubt you are kind. You are bound to one person. But some, they overlook such suffering people and pass away. By the roadside they see somebody is suffering, shouting for help, and they overlook them, they pass away. It is not that attitude what is said now. It is not unlimited kindness, but it is selfishness only. Why do they overlook the person? Because they are afraid of law and order. The police people will call me to the court and to the hospital. I have to take so many works. What about me? I have no time. So that's why for themselves they overlook others. That is not called real overlooking. Because they are selfish, that's why they overlook others. That is not allowed. That is called sin. But knowing you can do something and yet you don't do, and you pray, that is the highest help one can do. That is not forbidden. The best thing is to pray. And that's how a yogi, doing nothing, he helps the whole universe. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. If he chants it from his heart of heart, nobody can alter it. That is how yogis show wonder. Whatever they think, it has to happen. So in this way, friends and enemies are not outside. They exist in the mind only. It is the mind that makes a friend and enemy, and an enemy a friend. This is what we were discussing, this particular point, how the mind makes one friend and otherwise an enemy, how it makes. That process somewhat we analyzed up to some extent. We analyzed yesterday. We shall see it again today, how this mind works and how it makes an object your favorable and the same object anti to you. Therefore, the self alone is the friend of oneself, and the self alone is the enemy of oneself. That means self here is the fourfold mind, and also from other angle, the self means the triangular cooperative active body, and the self also is the inner individual self, which is not the all-pervading Paramatma, is not that self. It is limited, individual, and attached with the body, such a self. So here we have to see how this individual self can help himself. That self also, we see it from different angles. Sometimes it is fourfold mind, sometimes it is mind, and some other times it is the same mind called intellect. Intellect is superior than the mind, gross mind. So when we compare these two within itself, the intellect becomes the self, not the mind. And same mind becomes the self when you compare with the senses. The mind becomes superior and the self. In this way, the meaning of self we have to change according to the context, how you use it, and what self will do what in what situation. So in this way we shall see now analytically the lower mind or the Asuddha Manas, impure mind. Again, purity and impurity. That is also another angle of seeing the mind. The same mind is fourfold. The same mind is impure and pure, and purer and pure most. Same mind. And the same mind is gross and subtler and subtle most. And the same mind, from different angle, it is tamasic and rajasic and sattvic and beyond qualities. So this same mind, how we can see from which angle we see, and our perfect decision will be when integrally from all sides we look at it and take the decision. Then only it will be clearer. This way, the same mind becomes friend to you. To you means to the same mind, and the same mind becomes enemy to the same mind. Asuddha Manas, impure mind, is your real enemy because it binds you to the samsara, and the higher mind or the sattvic mind. Now sattva came. First we considered pure and impure, and then sattva or rajas. This Suddha Manas or the pure mind is your real friend because it helps you in the attainment of moksha. This includes so many things within it. Now, our Ramarajam Sahaja, he came, he was discussing something. Four types of devotees are dear to God. Artha jigyasu artharthi jnani cha bharatar sabha all these four kinds of devotees are dear to me. But some have the desires and some have no desires. So how do they become dear to the Lord? And should it be implied on desirelessness and desirefulness? Should he consider from this angle? Then if it is a devotee with desires can be dear to God, why should we give up desires? Oh, these complications come. So we have to be very, very careful to take a decision. Desires are of two kinds. Everything in this relative world is of dualistic meaning, and two opposites are together. So desires are also like that. We should not give up this formula. Where there is light, there is darkness. So desires, of course, they are sometimes friend to us, sometimes enemy to us. How the same desire becomes like this? So they are divided into two classes. Classification. Some flowers are full of fragrance and palas. Palas, kinsuk, we say kinsuk. The red flowers bloomed in the spring, in the plains, sometimes in the springtime. Oji, stop. So that becomes such attractive. So for the birds, they come in flocks and they sit over that and nothing to eat, neither smell nor any honey, nothing is there. So useless, then they give up and fly away. Nirgandha iva kinsukaha. They are attractive by the color only. So, and some flowers in our gate side, a plant is there. Such small flowers, they will come in bunches. When it blooms, what smell! It is yet intense, more intense than Rajanigandha and our Ratki Rani. You will be searching where from it is coming. So this is how the flowers are classified. Similarly, everything is classified. So the desires are of good nature and bad nature. Same desires, they uproot all the desires. A desire which works like a what do you call human bomb. He kills himself and he kills others also. Just like hailstones, it melts itself and it destroys all the flowers and crops, everything. So similarly, some desires are there which are destructive by themselves. They destroy themselves and they destroy all other desires. They root out all the desires and then they die off. So such desires are welcome. In this way, everywhere we see some gradation, some comparative degrees. And this is how the mind, as we know, it is a process, it is not something which is one. It is never so. It is a process, a flow of thought waves. Thoughts means waves, and waves means they are different from each other. That's how they are waves. If they are be similar to each other, then there will not be any waves, but one wave. Similarities cannot have different identities. So, difference is the law of basic principle of the nature, and that's how we make one into two because of differences. So waves cannot be similar to each other, there will be little difference. And in that way, those waves can be classified into different groups. That's how we know the divine qualities. They are only thoughts. And demonical qualities, they are also only thoughts. And how do they act? The divine qualities, they are cooperative and they are of same group, so they help each other as well the self. They help the self to advance in the process of achieving the goal. That's how they are called divine. They are our friends. And the same thoughts which are obstacles in the same path to achieve the goal, they are destructive or interrupting. That's how they are anti to us, against us. They break our speed breakers. And that's how they are called demonical or negative qualities. And as such, the divine qualities are always admired and the demonical qualities are condemned. And this way, the same process we can put into the framework of sattva, rajas, tamas, and gross, subtle and subtlemost. In the same frame we can measure it. So the gross mind is grossmost and the dullest and the inimical to us and anti to us. It obstructs our progress and it is called tamasic also, and it is impure most also. In the same way, from everything in one framework we can see. And the subtler mind, slowly if we classify by and by, in the process we go upward towards the center. Center means subtler than the subtlemost, purer than the purest, and interior than the interiormost. In that way it is called center, the axis of the whole cycle, whole circle, everything. That is the central point. And that's how the innermost self, which is the supreme self, we call it, for saying something, it is not so, yet we have to accept for some time. And that self, because it is superior most, the purest of pure, and the subtlemost than the subtlemost, and smallest, Anuranyan, smaller than the smallest. In that way, it is the last achievement. So slowly, when from that point we come down to grossmost, or the impure most, or the tamasic most, that is also the same mind. So this is how, just as in the family is one, and in that some elderly persons are there, some youngsters will be there, some children will be there. How do the children are directed by whom? In the same family. The elders direct the youngsters, and the eldest most, he is the all in the family. And if you go to someone and please the highest person, thereby the whole family is pleased. If president is in your hand, the whole kingdom is in your clutches. This is how, if you want to please everyone, you have to please only one. And that also can be had step by step. We can keep in hand our state governments, and then we can approach to center. Or the central government also, first the peons, and then the officer, and then the director. Slowly we can enter. In this way, the process is a process only. So the same mind becomes guide for the same mind. In that way, it purifies the same impure mind, just as in the family, just as in the schools also. There will be a headmaster, and there will be some lower class teachers, and some others will be higher teachers. In the colleges also, some lecturers, some professors, and some head of the department. Everywhere it is seen. It will not be very difficult to understand how the same mind helps the same mind. The pure mind will purify the impure mind. Same process is applied everywhere. Where is the difficulty to understand? It is the process applied everywhere. So in this way, our senses, which are very turbulent, which are very hard to come under control, the same senses can control the senses, other senses, and they will be controlled by the higher sense, that is mind, and the mind can be controlled by the intellect, and the intellect can be controlled by the superior, that is discriminative mind, and then the whole system is purified. In this way, the mind becomes friend to it, and when it doesn't do so, the grosser mind becomes dominating and more powerful, then it becomes enemy to yourself. And from other angle also we can see, when we know the mind is nothing but a process, and that is a flow of thoughts, and that also not one thought, it is thoughts, many thoughts, so that also different from each other. So now they will act against each other also. One will be different from the other. So if they clash against each other, they are bound to clash. When two forces act against each other, the physical law says the third force is generated. That is called diagonal force. So in the same way, when two thoughts, they are dissimilar, so naturally they have to clash against each other. Up to what extent, that depends upon the nature of the thoughts. How much they will fight against each other. That is how the eternal fight is there within in everybody. That is called eternal Mahabharata. And there also is present the blind, deluded fellow, Dhritarashtra by name, and there also the opposite, Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira and Lord Krishna, the greater guide. In this way, in the mind itself, all these are present. The whole universe is there within you. Whole process is there within you, in a small form, in a model, mini universe. So now we have to see how these two thoughts fight against each other and what happens then. The formula goes like, the stronger will win over the weaker one. That is universal applied formula. Everywhere it is applicable. Always there is fight everywhere in this universe, between the good and bad, between the opposites, that's all. So now, whichever is stronger than the other, he will be winner. So now, if the thoughts are positive and negative, they will be against each other, and the stronger thought will win over the weaker. So diagonal force, the third thought which is created, that is called intellect. That is the decisive thought that will have the nature of the winner thought. If it is good thought, the intellect will be good, and कौन है ये एस? हाँ, क्या हो रहा है? अच्छा. So now, if there will be of same kind, a little more negative and little less negative, they will fight against each other. So the more negative will win over the less negative. So that will dominate, and the intellect will be of that nature. In this way, your thought waves only gets modified, and just like the league match, two teams will fight against each other, and the winner will fight against the another winner. In this way, they will finally go to the final. There will be only two teams, that is in the end of the game, and that will be discrimination, which played between the two winners. This is called negative, the world, transitory, ever-changing, momentary, and the other will be eternal, permanent, imperishable. So among them, what is accepted, that is the final winner and cup winner. Till the end, there is a possibility of falling down. In this way, one becomes a friend to oneself, and one becomes the enemy to oneself, and the same thoughts can help you to purify yourself, and same thoughts can help you to go to hell. That depends upon you. And then also, what are you, how it is made, how the thoughts are generated. That is also another complicated method. How the thoughts are generated, what is the source of it, that we should know, then only we can make it either good or bad. So you know, the thoughts are, of course, generated. They are the only waves, nothing else, vibrations. And one vibration is transferred to the other. That's how it is called energy. So, the prana is motivator of the mental thoughts, thought process. Prana means a kind of vibratory process which vibrates the prana mind vibratory process. One energy is transferred into the other. Energy is one basically, but it goes on changing its name and actions and everything according to the flow. So prana motivates the thought waves of mind, and prana is not self-supported. How? Prana also is an energy. Energy has to be fed by other energy. So food and your day-to-day behavior, bodily actions, and they are in this cycle. One is cause for the other. This is when it is considered from all-round vision. Then only Patanjali gave you in the very beginning of the course code of conduct. Suchi, Pavitrata, and Satya, Ahimsa, all these, they motivate your daily transactions. They will keep you in track. They will not derail you from the track, and thereby you will have good food, sattvic food. Food only gives energy to the prana. That food may be gross food, or that food can be collected from the 5 elements. That is what prana yogis are doing now. They are researching. This prana is supported not only by gross foods, but by many sources. That depends upon you. How do you keep up your prana? And your daily activities have influence over your prana. A daily laborer, one who breaks the stones, he has to spend more of his prana. His prana has to become restless, and more prana is used. Prana means energy. When that is your wealth, when it is used more, then naturally it will not work efficiently, rhythmically, and as it is required for the thought waves. That's how after Yamaniyam, asana is a must. Your senses should be under control, and then pranayam is a must. By that your prana is influenced, and then your mind will be regulated. That's how, in this way, if we can attack the mind from all round, then only mind will have good thoughts, and then good thoughts will go parallelly with each other. They will be helpful to each other. In this way, the same mind can purify the impure mind. This is a long process. Every moment you have to be alert and presence of mind. Every minute, what are you thinking? What are you doing? What are you speaking? What you are eating? How do you breathe? What are you breathing? All these are taken together to purify the mind, and pure mind will help you to purify the impure mind. In this way, you are become your friend, or if not, you are enemy to yourself. This is the real long-standing, very subtle process. By and by it can be done. So tomorrow we shall see again if something is left on this point. This is a very important point. We are our friends, we are our foes, means we have to struggle for ourselves. No other friend or enemy is there outside you who can help you. You are all alone. You have to help yourself. Lord Krishna is warning you. It is not advising you. There is none else who can come to your risk. So don't cheat yourself.
वो बोल रहे भगवान के भरोसे मत बैठना, कहीं ऐसा ना हो भगवान आपके भरोसे बैठा हो.
Exactly same thing. God never says nadate kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhu. I never give anything good or bad to anyone. I am nowhere concerned. Don't depend upon me. That's why he is giving warning, and indirectly he is palla jhaad dete hai. He is getting out of the circle. I am nowhere concerned. You have to help yourself. Sai Baba क्या कहते हैं? Effort. And we have also this saying, labor has its own reward. No labor is ever gone in vain. Krishna also assures you, न कश्चित नहीं कश्चित कल्याण कृत दुर्गतिम तात गच्छति. Assurance, life insurance. No effort has gone ever in vain. So if it is good effort, you will get your good result. It depends upon you. No God will come to help you, and the same God is within you, and you have covered up it. You have locked him in the inner chamber, and you are doing all sorts of nonsense around the innermost chamber.
Wait, what if Swamiji, God helps those who help themselves?
Exactly, this is the great common saying. God helps them who helps themselves. This is what is the essence of this sloka. You try to help yourself, then I come to rescue. That means also we have to understand that innermost, the Supreme One, the central point which is ever steady, that is achieved by yourself only. I am simply the onlooker. I am watching you. Come to me, my dear. Surrender to me. I am not going to come to catch your hand, help you. No, you have to try. And that depends upon ourselves. We shall see tomorrow again if need be. Hari Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadguru Bhagavan ki jai. Sachidananda Bhagavan ki jai. Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Gita Mata ki jai.